There is no future for people who deny their past. My foreparents, my grandparents,
Welcome to the Final Boss Podcast, your ultimate destination for urban culture, community vibes, and live conversations with the movers and shakers of the streets. Join us as we explore the rhythm of the one beat at a time. Let's get the show started. Turn up the volume, sit back and relax, and welcome to the Final Boss Podcast, hosted by Turbo, the CEO, and follow us on all social media platforms.
You're listening to the Final Boss Podcast.
Welcome to Sunday night's edition of the Final Boss Podcast. I'm your host, the Final Boss, also known as Turbo, the CEO. Tonight, we have a great show for you. Tonight, we're going to be diving in and continuing our conversation from last week. Tonight, it's part 2 of last week's conversation. Part 2. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to all my smarts, to my final bosses, to everyone who is tuning in, no matter where you are around the world. Thank you for your continuous support. We greatly appreciate you, your feedback, your follows, your likes, and your shares. Thank you so much. Please continue to follow us and like us as we over here at the Final Boss are on a journey with you. That's what we're doing. We're on a journey to better you. I'm going to write that down. That sounds pretty cool. On a journey to better you. Seems like everybody's on a journey right now. I've seen people on social media who are on a journey to go across the Pacific Ocean. I've seen people on here on a journey to become a millionaire. What's interesting is that everyone is accomplishing their mission, their journey. And I'm no different. My journey is to better you. And we're going to accomplish that journey. I'm so amazed at the young man that quit his 9-to-5, withdrew all of his 401k, bought himself a sailboat, never sailed before, and said, you know what? From Oregon to Hawaii, I'm going to sail the Pacific Ocean. And day by day, he included us in that journey. There's another young man who's on social media who started out as a barber. He had a goal to become a millionaire. And I don't know if he had mentioned a specific amount of time to do that in, but it took him less than 2 years to do it through content, through consistency, through getting past all of the naysayers, the negativity, even the mind, the monkey of the mind negativity. right? Monkey of the mind, negativity. And he was able to accomplish that goal. So I say that to say this. We are on a journey to better you, and I'm going to accomplish that mission. All right. So before we get into it, per always, we're going to get into our brass tacks. And tonight we got a brass tacks from two different people. The first is coming from Shirley MacLaine. The second would be coming from Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle. So tonight's brass tacks. Let's get into it. Dwelling on the negative simply contributes to its power. Dwelling on the negative simply contributes to its power. That comes from Shirley MacLaine. The second brass tacks. When you complain, you make yourself into a victim. When you speak out, you are in your power. I say again, when you complain, you make yourself into a victim. When you speak out, you are in your power. That comes from Eckhart Tolle. That is tonight's brass tacks. And before we get into it, I have some very important admin notes that I like to get out. And admin notes tonight are going to be a little bit lengthy, right? Going to be a little bit lengthy because, and it's going to tie in into tonight's subject, the psychological effects of positivity. That's tonight's episode, number 87, the psychological effects of negativity. To my smarts, to my final bosses, I need you guys to go get pen and paper. Go get pen and paper. You know what? You should already know that when you see me, when you see my face, you already know you should be taking notes. I shouldn't have to give that disclaimer. So I'm not going to continue to give that disclaimer. Just like I'm not going to continue to give the disclaimer about the brass tacks. But one disclaimer I am going to continue to give is this is for entertainment purposes only. This is for entertainment purposes only. So my admin notes, man, for tonight. Listen, and listen well. This is my passion. This is my life's blood. Right? The things that I say, the things that I do, and the things that I post are all calculated. Are all calculated. This isn't a hobby. This is not a hobby. This is my calling to be a messenger to better you. That is my calling. For all of the other people out there who feel as though this is an easy task, It's not. You need to do your research before getting involved or starting a podcast. You need to do your research before starting a podcast. There are a lot of different elements that go into a podcast. You got different types of podcasts. And I mean, from virtual to in the studio, right? Think of my virtual version and liken to what you see on these various news channels, the MSNBCs, the CNNs, the news media. Those would be considered virtual. They have guests who dial in or they call or who is scheduled to appear. And then you have, every now and again, you will have in-studio visits like they do on The Morning Joe on MSNBC. The studio version, when you're doing your studio version, there are a lot of different elements that you need to consider. I'm not going to go through those elements. But even, let's scale it back some. Let's scale it back to how many jobs it takes to have an effective podcast. That number is 21. Roughly 21 to 23. I am a single man podcast host, producer, director, audio visual, writer, researcher, graphics, marketing, and the list goes on. You could do your own research and find out that what I'm telling you isn't an opinion, it's the truth. 21 different jobs it takes to go into a successful podcast. I do all 21 by myself. I say that to say this. If you're going to do this, make sure you're calculated in your approach. Make sure you do ample research. Make sure you are passionate about what you're about to get into, right? Don't do it as a hobby. The information that you're putting out there, people are gravitating toward. They are seeing, they are hearing. Some people are holding on to the last word, every last word. So make sure that you're passionate about this. But it takes more than that. It takes charisma. It takes knowledge. It takes professional acumen. It takes a certain level of intellectual accuracy. I hear a lot of people talk about a lot of different opinions, right? A lot of different opinions. Well, at the end of the day, it is all considered to be opinions. Now, whether or not it's a viable opinion, a absolute legit opinion, or fact, it's up to you, the listener, to determine that. But when I tell you, I leave scholarly references, and resources at the end of my show, that means that the content that I'm giving you has a lot of fact that is embedded into it. So you can go do your own research and form your own opinions. Right? Make sure that when you're out here talking to the world, you take into several considerations. These considerations are about having empathy to your listeners, right? Being cognizant of what you're saying. You know, reading the room is very important. Sometimes through an action of being humble, I can't call myself humble, but the action, I downplay my level of intelligence, depending on who I'm speaking with. And it's nothing against that individual, but you have to have a certain level of empathy to not overshadow what that person is saying. Have the ability to talk on their level. That is a skill set. That is a skill set. Be able to have the proper cadence and grasp a certain level of emotion that are attached to your words. Now, I'm saying all this. This is going to tie in to tonight's show. And tonight's show might be a little longer than normal. I haven't even gotten to the topic of the psychological effects of negativity. I am building up the room, right? On here, we don't talk about sports. We seldom talk about politics. We talk more about the geopolitical atmosphere, and that's around the world, right? We don't have hood conversations here. We don't do low-level thinking. We're doing high-level thinking, top tier, high intellect. That's what we're doing. We don't do low-level vibrations. We're only going for high-level vibrations on this channel. I am considered a citizen journalist. And my approach is about having balanced chaos. Every time you pick your phone up and you start filming an act, a crime, or whatever it is, you just became a part of the world of citizen journalists every single time. So make sure that when you're doing that your content is impactful. Make sure your content is impactful. Make sure you, and this is very important, and this goes out to all my podcasters out there. You have to make sure you are embedding your content across all your pages, all your social media, your websites, your blogs, your vlogs, whatever it is. Make sure you are embedding your content with SEO. SEO. That's search engine optimization. Search engine optimization. Make sure you're doing that, because if you aren't, you're just wasting your time. You are wasting your time. Make sure you are embedding your content with SEO. Now, with that being said, lastly, and I know I've been talking for about 20 minutes now. Lastly, love your enemies. Love your enemies. Love your enemies. Love your enemies. Love them. And with that, let's begin. Ding, 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 ding. Sorry about that. 21 minutes, man. A little bit of long-winded, but I had to get that off my chest. And for those who are just tuning in, thank you again. And welcome. Welcome to the Final Boss Podcast. Today, as I've been saying the entire show, we are going to confront a powerful, often overlooked force shaping our lives. A powerful, often overlooked force that are shaping our lives. That force is negativity. And we're not just talking about fleeting bad moods. We're going to explore the profound and multifaceted psychological effects of persistent negative emotions and thought patterns. We'll delve into the neuroscience, the betrayal, the manifestations, and the strategies of mitigating the detrimental impacts of negativity on mental and physical well-being. Hey, Timothy speaks. I love it. Yes, I am him. Yes, sir, Rebob. Glad you are taking the time out to check us out, man. I really appreciate that. This isn't about toxic positivity. It's about understanding the enemy to better combat it, and the enemy within. That's what we're doing, the enemy within. That's what the Final Boss is all about. Battling the enemy within. The enemy that causes you to be contemplative. The enemy that causes you to be a procrastinator, right? That's what we're battling on here. We're on this journey to better you. That's what we're doing. That's my mission, to better you. It's about understanding that enemy so we could better combat it. Flush it down the toilet. Right? Rebuke it. Rebuke you, enemy. You know it. That's what we're going to be doing. But, enough about definitions. Negativity isn't merely the absence of positivity. It's a complex interplay of emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. Let that resonate for a minute. It's about talk about pessimism, being pessimistic. cynicism, anxiety, stress, depression, and learned helplessness. Learned helplessness. Examining the interconnectedness and their impact of various aspects of life. This isn't about labeling. I'm not putting labels on anyone, but these are actions. These are things that are twirling around your head right now as I'm speaking. It's about understanding the nuanced ways that causes that negativity to manifest. That negativity to manifest. You know, brain patterns and thoughts and the neuroscience that illuminates the profound impact of negative emotions on brain function. By the way, this is a two-part series. So last week, if you missed last week's Sunday night episode, I don't want anybody saying, "Oh, why are you just talking about negativity?" Last week, if you missed last week's show was about positivity. Last week, we delved into the psychological effects of positivity. Tonight, we're doing negativity. So, just catching everybody up. I want everybody to be smart. I want everybody to be the final boss. Because we're all on a journey. We're all on a journey to better ourselves. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. This journey continues. Chronic negativity triggers the release of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, creating a cascade of psychological challenges and changes. The brain's emotional center becomes hyperactive, leading to heightened anxiety, heart palpitations, fear responses, execution of fight or flight. These elements and the hippocampus are crucial for memory and learning, can be impaired by chronic stress, which affects cognitive function. I would wager to bet now, I don't know if there's any scientific studies out there. There probably are. Let me not say that. But this is in my opinion. There's been a rise in this country of Alzheimer's and dementia since the mid-'80s. I am willing to bet that stress has such a negative effect on cognitive thoughts and responses And when it happens over a prolonged period of time, it creates dementia and Alzheimer's, amongst other factors, of course. Diet, not being physically active, but I am wagered to bet that it has a huge, I bet it's a huge characteristic that plays a part into dementia and Alzheimer's. Prolonged negativity can lead, and this is my point, to structural changes in the brain, impacting mood, regulation, and emotional processing. Negativity significantly exacerbates the stress response. Negative thoughts and feelings trigger the release of stress hormones, leading to psychological changes like increased heart rate, muscle tension, and digestive problems. This can create a vicious cycle. This can create a vicious cycle. Stress leads to negative thoughts, which further amplify the stress response. Understanding this is crucial for developing effective coping coping mechanisms. Sorry about that. I got allergies, man, sinus. So if I sniffle a lot, that's what it is, and nothing more. Don't be negative. Be positive. I'm drinking coffee. You're probably like, why am I? Because I got homework to do. Like after the show, I got homework to do. And I got to do marketing. I'm going to be up for a while. So I needed to have a little bit of coffee, a little boost. A little boost. There's a link between negativity and, like I said before, but it's not just about Alzheimer's and dementia. There's a link between negativity and mental health disorders. That link is undeniable. Negative thought patterns, rumination, and learned helplessness are significant contributors to depression and anxiety. These conditions are characterized by persistent negative emotions, impacting mood, sleep, concentration, and overall function. Overall function. If you are suffering from any of those, there's a good chance that you may be suffering from one of all of those negative characteristics. And they are having a psychological effect on you. To combat that, you must learn, write this down. You must learn CBTs. You must learn CBTs. Yes, you. You must learn CBTs. You're like, what is a CBT? Well, I'm the final boss, and you know I'm going to tell you. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy. It's the channeling and changing and reframing those negative thoughts. Right? I'm not going to go into all of the things you can do for that are listed under CBTs, but what I will tell you is that you can go look it up, because we're on a journey to better you. Can't give you all the answers. I can lead you to the water. I cannot make you drink it. Negativity impacts. Negativity impacts extends beyond mental health. Chronic stress fueled by negativity can weaken the immune system. It can increase you or make you more susceptible to illness. It also contributes to cardiovascular problems and other physical ailments. The body's constant state of alert triggered by negativity takes a significant toll on mental, physical, and even your spiritual health, right? Yeah, absolutely. Negativity erodes relationships. Smarts, final bosses, listen. Before I go into that, though, shout out to Yo Boogie. I see you. Negativity erodes relationships. Flag on the play. Flag on the play. I throw my own flags. Negativity erodes relationships. One more time. Flag on the play. Red flag. Negativity erodes relationships. It fuels conflicts, hinders effective communication, and creates distance between you and your partner, or you and your family members. We're not just talking about relationships. We're talking about all the ships, all of them, all of them. Being cynical or pessimistic and the constant complaining can strain even the strongest bonds. Understanding how negativity impacts relationships is crucial for fostering healthier connections. Taking that deep dive into self, to better self. Negativity often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Negative thoughts lead to negative emotions, which in turn fuel negative behaviors, creating a challenging cycle that is almost impossible to break. Understanding this cycle, and being pragmatic about it, is the first step towards interrupting said negativity. You need to know how to identify those characteristics. In order to identify them, for you to use the CBTs to interrupt it, right? You need to know and be able to identify it. Smarts. I've given you all the characteristics, well, not all, well, most of the characteristics of negativity and psychological effects of negativity. You write those down. You get yourself a book. You can start with our bestseller. The Final Boss podcast. You see it. Journal book. This is for bosses. This is for those who are on a journey to better oneself. This is for my smarts. Listen, start with a journal. Put a date on it, right? And each day, you write down the characteristics of negativity. And when you see or you feel or notice that you are being affected by one of those effects and characteristics, you write it down. You put a hash mark by it. You can't defeat something if you don't know what it is, if you don't identify what it is. You have to be able to identify it in order to combat it. You have to be able to identify it in order to combat it. Otherwise, you wouldn't know what you're combating. You're just spinning your wheels. You're in a self-flowing vacuum that is a constant, continuous thing because you won't acknowledge the negative patterns. The negative patterns. Negativity often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Negative thoughts lead to negative emotions. Yes. I want y'all to think about that. It can also cause cognitive distortions, errors in thinking. Errors in thinking are at the heart of negativity. At the heart of it. The all or nothing thinking. The all or nothing thinking. You're just like, fuck it. It's all or nothing. The overgeneralization and mental filtering are all part of cognitive distortions, right? You must learn how to identify and challenge these distortions and refrain from negative thoughts. The repetitive and negative focus on past events, rumination for you guys, if you want to learn a new word, rumination, is a significant contributor to anxiety and depression. Worry focused on potential future problems, future fuels, and further fuel negativity. Bringing awareness to the present moment is what you need to concentrate on, not the future problems. Not the future problems. A lot of us suffer from learned helplessness. A lot of us suffer from learned helplessness. You're not powerless. You're not powerless. You have the power to change your circumstances. Learned helplessness is a debilitating form of negativity. It stems from repeated negative experiences. We've all experienced levels of trauma. We've all experienced it. We've all experienced toxicity. It's everywhere. It's in the workplace. It's at home. It's at church. It's everywhere. It's on social media. The trauma, the toxicity, it's everywhere. You can't escape it. But you can combat it. When you recognize it, you can combat it. Oftentimes, helplessness leads to resignation. Oftentimes, helplessness leads to resignation. But it doesn't have to affect you or put you in a chokehold. It doesn't have to put you in a chokehold. If you're able to focus on the problem, identify the problem, and take incremental steps towards fixing it, challenging it for effective change. But you have to identify it. It's time for us as a whole. It's time for us as a whole to break free from negativity. It has us in a chokehold. It's time to break free of it. Breaking free from negativity will take a conscious effort and practice. You have to practice. You have to practice. Identifying, challenging, and learning how to refrain from those negative thoughts. Activating positive behavioral induced brain patterns. It's a neuroscience. Some of those activities can be activities of pleasure, a sense of accomplishment, being pragmatic in your mindfulness, right? I mentioned last week on last week's episode, on Sunday night's episode, go back and check that out. I mentioned small accomplishments that you can do that can lead your day and start your day into a level of success. There were 5. Do you remember them? If you remember them from last week's episode, drop them in the box. Drop them right now. If you remember from last week's episode, I mentioned 5 successes that you can start your day out with. 5 positive activations of accomplishment to start your day out with. If you remember those, drop them in the box. Drop them in the box. If you get to a point where you can't identify, or the process that you have started in identifying and you're working on self, you notice you're overwhelmed or it's too much for you, it's okay. It is okay. You tried. Now it's time to seek professional help. Now it's time to seek professional help. There's nothing wrong with needing therapy. There's nothing wrong with seeking counseling. Seeking help, and this is what we need to do. This is something that we need to do. Let's make it normal, right? Let's make it normal. And understanding that seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. It's a sign of strength. If the CBTs aren't working, if your daily routine isn't working, you're identifying and challenging is not working, and the rumination continues, it's okay. It's time to seek help. And seeking help is not a weakness. It's not a weakness. We all have bounced back, being resilient, being resilient from adversity is part of managing negativity. It's all part of it. Developing effective coping mechanisms, building strong social support networks, practicing self-compassion and empathy, cultivating a growth mindset are all part of bettering you on this journey. It's making you resilient. It's making you resilient. Understanding the profound psychological effects of negativity is crucial for improving mental and physical well-being. By developing those strategies, managing negativity, we can enhance our positive cognitive flow, thoughts, relationships, all the ships. And it will help us live a better and fulfilled life. We have to sit back and start taking control of our narrative. We have to start taking control of our narrative. Accountability, responsibility. And when you can't do it by yourself, get help. When you can't do it by yourself, get help. Mental wellness is real. Emotional well-being is real. Self-care is real. Mental health matters. Mental health matters. And that's our show. That is our show for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. To my smarts, to my final bosses, and everyone watching, I hope you took lots of notes. I hope you can go back and rewatch this episode when you need it and reflect. If you're experiencing any of the above and you've been experiencing it for some time, there are channels out there for help, for seeking help. If you need help finding that help, DM me, send me an email. My email is info@thefinalbosspodcast.com. That's info@thefinalbosspodcast.com. You can always DM me on all of the social media platforms that we're on. And we're expanding. As season 3 approaches, we are expanding. And we're going to continue this journey to better you. We're going to continue this journey to better you. I'm your host, The Final Boss. And this is The Final Boss Podcast. This concludes tonight's episode number 87 of a two-part series, The Psychological Effects of Positivity and Negativity. This concludes this series, part 1, part 2. Doesn't mean that we won't continue to talk about it, because we always talk about it. It's part of what we do. Building empathy, understanding ethics, mental health, business. These are all the things that we do here on the Final Boss Podcast. And it's all a part building you up, making you a better you. Battling that internal fight that you have. The internal you. The final boss. That's in you. That is our show. Good evening. Good afternoon. And good night. Be balanced. Be smart. Be equal. Not in that order. But tonight, that's the order we're going in. Be balanced, be equal, be smart. Till next time. Oh, let me not forget. Go grab some merch. The merch is available. Merch site. TheFinalBossPodcast.com is live and well. TheFinalBossPodcast.com is live and well. That's our merch site. Tune in this Tuesday at 9 p.m. for the Sensei and I, as we dive into so many different topics. One of the topics that we've been talking about a lot is AI. And this week probably will be no different. We're probably going to be talking about AI again this week. That's on Tuesday. On Thursday, we'll be back at 9 p.m. for our special guest episode. This Thursday at 9 p.m. And then you will see me back here, same time, same channel, on Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you. I really appreciate you. It's been an amazing show. I've had an amazing time. And that's it for tonight. Till next time. See you on Tuesday. Have a great one.